Well, good afternoon, and welcome to our symposium on leadership development. My name is Alice Wagen, and my company is Workforce Learning. What do I do with my company? I basically teach management skills to business leaders. Now, that's not all I do, and I'll illustrate why that I have to do a little bit more with organizations. When business leaders contact me, they usually will start by saying, can you come in and do a workshop on coaching skills, on managing performance? And my answer is sure, I can definitely do that. But my guess is that's not going to fix your problem. And in fact, when I talk to business leaders, the most common complaint or issue they say is, my managers aren't managing. They're just simply not doing it. So let's train them. Wow, that's great. If that could fix it, that would be wonderful. But generally, there's going to be some other things getting in the way. What's happened with management in business today and why it's so, what I kind of call severely broken, is that we've gotten into a pattern of making managers out of our best, most individual contributors. We take our best and brightest, and generally if they are our best and brightest and high performing, they're probably working way more than their 40 hours a week. They may be working 50, 60 hours a week. And we call these individuals in and say, well, the good news is you're now going to be a manager. You're going to be responsible for 5 or 6 other people. And generally the response is, well, that's great. Boy, that's what we're supposed to be in life. Manager, move up the organizational ladder, get more pay. That's fabulous. Got a new title, new business cards, bigger office. Wonderful, success. So since I'm already working all my time plus, what can I give up? Well, you're not going to be able to give anything up. You have to continue your full workload and direct the work of others. Uh-oh, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. People need time to manage. Now, here's another issue I find, is people, yes, do need the training, because if you look at any of our traditional educational programs, whether it's a business program or IT, finance, whatever, the formal academic education, we don't teach people about people. We teach them about content, about their particular finance, accounting, whatever. We don't teach people how to be successful with people. So let's see, we're not giving them time and we're not telling them how to do it. But then there's that third piece, and this I hear more often from the staff when I get into organizations. We're not holding them accountable. What I hear when I talk to staff is, our organization, we've got great managers and we've got lousy ones. And nothing happens with the lousy ones. They're not corrected, they're not demoted, they're not gotten rid of. So in my experience, there are 3 factors that will help an organization build strong, good manager core. Or, as I put it, will enable managers to manage. Number 1 is exactly what I do come in and help people with. Job skills training. What's the knowledge, the skills, the attributes that people need to learn to be good managers? I can rattle some off the top of my head. How do I coach someone? How do I provide corrective feedback that helps that employee do the job better but keeps them motivated? And in fact, how do I motivate? How do I do forward planning and help employees know where they can go in the organization, where they can develop and grow? I could go on and on with the list. Job skills training and how to be a good manager is absolutely critically important. That's the first component for building a good manager core. The second component, time. And this is the one where I get the biggest pushback from leaders. You cannot take an individual who has a full workload, assign them people to do the things I just said, coach, motivate, develop, and not take something off the plate. It just simply doesn't work. There's a sort of a insidious subset to this too that gets in the way. Generally speaking, if someone is a successful individual contributor, they're successful because they like doing what they're doing. If they're in finance, they like spreadsheets and accounting. If they're in human resources, They like doing benefits or compensation or those kinds of activities. If they're in your operations side, they like the projects and workload. They're gravitated to that. That's what they're good at. So, when given a limited number of hours in the day, and I have a choice between doing what I like to do, what I've been successful at, what I'm rewarded with, or doing this other thing like working with people and managing them, what happens? The management stuff falls off the plate. You've got to give them the time. I have, in my experience, I like to kind of, well, quite frankly, make up numbers. And I always say that for every 5 direct reports, a person needs a minimum of 10 hours a week to be an effective manager. Now, yes, true confessions, it's a made-up number. It depends. If the direct reports are new and need a lot of guidance, that number may be low. If they're highly seasoned professionals, that number may be a bit too high. I think managers can come up with what that number is, and then somehow stuff has to come off the plate to give them the time to do that. But the third component I just itemized, accountability. When I do good management practices, when I schedule one-on-ones with my staff and I guide them and I guide their work, is that recognized? Is it on my performance review as an objective that I'm held accountable for? And if I don't do it, are there negative repercussions? If the answer to that is no, even if you've got the training and the time, you may not see the results. When I come working with organizations, when business leaders contact me and they say their manager core is very weak, the first question I ask, is there an objective on their performance reviews that holds them accountable for being a good manager? And if the answer is no, I usually stop the conversation right there. Say, okay, well, if they're not being held accountable and there's no corrective action, then your good managers are good managers, in my estimation, because it's a personal value for them. That's why they're doing it. And if you're lucky enough to have hired people who have a personal value that says, I want to be a good manager, you're going to be okay. But in my experience in dealing with human beings, you're going to have some in there who are going to, again, gravitate more to the project and task work and let the interpersonal stuff fall off the plate. And when they do that and nothing happens to correct it, that will go on. Not correcting behavior you don't want to see is the same as endorsing it. If you have a manager who's not managing and it's not correcting it, and excuse me, you're not correcting it, then you are endorsing that behavior. So, can I teach business leaders to manage? You bet. I do this all the time. But if you want your organization to have fabulous management core, you need all 3 elements. You need the job skills training. You need to give them the time to do the job correctly. And you need to hold them accountable for that through a performance objective based on how well they manage. With those 3, you will have a fabulous management core and then a successful business, because those 2 go hand in hand. Thank you.